my last reading. Forgive me. I appreciate you guys bearing with me. All right. On March 1st, 1997, Greg was in Bossier City, Louisiana, where he had traveled from his home in Kentucky to attend this guy, John Maxwell's 2-day leadership conference. When the conference was over, he boarded a plane and headed to St. Louis on the first leg of his journey home. Excitedly, considering how to put into action the leadership training he had received. When he got off the gate at St. Louis for the connecting flight to Lexington, all flights to Lexington were canceled because of weather. He was a seasoned traveler, got a hotel, didn't think anything of it. Only when he lands in Lexington did he realize the magnitude of the problems caused by the weather. As he drove north from the airport towards Cynthiana, he started to see the effects of the heavy rain. When he learned that the Lecking River, which flowed through the town, had flooded its banks, he started to worry. He headed straight forward, couldn't get through because of the flooding. He goes and spends the night at his sister's. When Greg finally arrives, he finds the area flooded. Standing 200 yards away from the store, he could only see the roof and the sign, Payless Food Center. So like King Soopers, and all he can see is the roof. The rest was underwater. Demoralized, he headed for home, but he couldn't get anywhere near his house either. For 3 days, Greg stayed with his sister in Lexington, waiting for the water to subside, wondering what he was going to do. When he called his insurance agent and discovered the news that made things even worse, he had every kind of insurance except for flood insurance. There was no financial relief. All in all, 5 days passed before Greg could get into the store, and when he did, he stood in the midst of $500,000, $500,000 worth of waterlogged, spoiled inventory. His electronic cash registers were full of filthy water, and the huge 500-pound freezer that usually had held bags of ice was sitting on top of the checkout counters. At that point, I had a choice, says Greg. He could have given up, acknowledging the tragedy, and caused his business to fail. I could have filed for bankruptcy, but I didn't want to do that. That's when the principles that I learned a few days earlier at the leadership conference came back to me. It's not what happens to me. It's not what happens to me. It's what happens in me, right? It wasn't the fact of the matter. It was his attitude towards it, right? Trials will come, plural. It's how you react to them. He assessed the building, and it was still structurally sound. They took 22 truckloads of ruined inventory out of it, replaced cash registers, tile floor. His staff worked tirelessly around the clock. It cost Greg $1 million to do it, but he was able to reopen the Payless Food Center, and he did it within 16 days. In retrospect, how does a person assess the impact of an event like a flood that ruined Greg Horn's store? You can measure it in dollars. You can measure it in days. You can gauge the emotional impact on the owner. But Greg would encourage you to measure it in the lives of other people. Being able to reopen in only 21 days allowed 80 people to return to work, many of whom were personally affected by the flood. Proverbs says, humility comes before honor. So he'll go on. All kinds of success, as you can imagine, with a guy that can overcome failures like that. So no matter what happens to you, failure is an inside job. Expect the best in everything, right? It's not an event. It's part of the journey. Remain upbeat. See solutions in every problem. Right? Like 10,000 ways not to do something, like Edison. Believe in yourself and hold on to hope. The Lord of Lords says that He will never leave us or forsake us. sometimes our past can hold us hostage. We all have that tape recorder. What would you guys call it today? Voice recorder on our cell phones? Old guys like me, we had tape recorders and we played the tape over and over. And I don't think I'm on a limb. We all have a tape recorder of all the reasons why we're no good, right? I think I have about 10 tape recorders. So wrong ways to look at things is comparison. Why do I have to go through this? They don't, and they're dummies. They're stupid faces, and they don't have trials. We rationalize it, right? We try to make sense out of it. Oh yeah, but. We can isolate ourselves, right? When things aren't going well. We can have regret, bitterness. I'm going to read you this story. This is a great story. You're welcome to reuse this. I didn't write it. So this is about a guy who goes on a trip. I had not really planned on taking a trip this time of year, and yet I found myself packing rather hurriedly. The trip was going to be unpleasant. I knew in advance that no real good would come of it. I'm talking about my annual guilt trip. I got tickets to fly there on Wish I Had Airlines. It was an extremely short flight. I got my baggage, which I could not check. I chose to carry it myself all the way. It was weighted down with 10,000 memories of what might have been. No one greeted me as I entered the terminal at Regret City International Airport. I say international because people from all over the world come to this dismal town. As I checked into the Last Resort Hotel, I noticed that they would be hosting this year's most important event, the annual pity party. I wasn't going to miss that great social occasion. Many of the town's leading citizens were there. First, there were the Dunn family. You know, should have, would have, could have. Then came I Had family. You probably know old Wish and his clan. Wish I had. Of course, the opportunities would be present, missed and lost. The biggest family would be the Yesterdays. There are far too many of them to count, but each one would have their own sad story to share. Then Shattered Dreams would surely make an appearance, and It's Their Fault would regale us with stories, or excuses, about how things had failed in his life, and each story would be loudly applauded by Don't Blame Me, and I Couldn't Help It. Those are two people. To make a long story short, I went to this depressing party, knowing that there would be no real benefit in doing so. And, as usual, I became very depressed. But as I thought about all the stories of failures brought back from the past, it occurred to me that all this trip and subsequent pity party could be canceled by... Who could cancel it? Me. This all could be canceled by me. I started to truly realize that I didn't have to be there. I didn't have to be depressed. One thing kept going through my mind. I can't change yesterday, but I do have the power to make today a wonderful day. I can be happy, joyous, fulfilled, encouraged, as well as encouraging. Knowing this, I left the city of regret, that's in the fork of the Red Sea, where I had my timeshare. Am I sorry for mistakes I've made in the past? Yes, but there is no physical way to undo them. So if you're planning a trip back to the city of regret, please cancel all your reservations. Instead, take a trip to a place called Starting Again. I liked it so much that I have now taken up permanent residence there. My neighbors at this new residence, the I Forgive Myself and the New Starts are so very helpful. By the way, you don't have to carry around heavy baggage because the load is lifted from your shoulders upon arrival. God bless you in finding this great town. If you can find it, it's in your heart. Please look me up. I live on I Can Do It Street. That was written by Larry Hart. we are told that we can expect 3 to 9 major turning points in our life. I heard, was it Dave Ramsey, or who was the guy before Dave Ramsey? Burnett? Burkett?
Yeah, yeah.
Burkett?
We're old, come on.
One of Burkett or Ramsey said you can expect a significant financial downturn once every 10 years. And I think we're ahead of our curve.
We're
But-
way ahead.
But maybe on the average it'll work out.
Yeah.
But expect 3 to 9 major downturns. These transitions can be happy experiences or unhappy times, such as job loss, divorce, financial setbacks, health problems, and the death of loved ones. Turning points can provide perspective, which is the ability to view major changes within the larger framework of your lifetime and let the healing power of time prevail. By learning from your turning points, you can grow at a deeper level within your career and life. What we're going to see later is, unfortunately, it really takes trials. I wish there was a better way. But to grow deeper, we have to go through these. But we won't succeed if we don't walk through the failures, right? We don't want to be Langley. We want to be the Wright brothers. Okay. I might be done reading to you guys. Okay. Who is the person making these mistakes? See yourself clearly. Got to do a self-analysis because sometimes it's us. Admit your flaws honestly. Discover your strengths joyfully. And build on those strengths passionately. You will have some jobs early in your life that you don't like or you're not good at. That's okay. It's okay to figure out that you're not good at that. I worked at White Castle. You guys ever heard of White Castle? It's like a McDonald's, but awesome. I cannot run a register. I can count. My registers never balance. Ever. How is it hard? You give me 5, I give you like $1.15 back. How is that hard? I can't do it. Early in our relationship, we were still dating. Cindy's a school teacher, and she's getting ready for school to begin. She gives me stacks of papers, and I'm supposed to make like packets. And in like 2 minutes, she fired me. She's like, just go draw on the board or something. But you have to have that failure to figure it out. Not realizing what you want is a problem of knowledge. Not pursuing what you want is a problem of motivation. And not achieving what you want is a problem of persistence.
Read those 3 again. That was good. I want to hear that again.
All this was good. You want me to start from the beginning?
No, just the last 3.
Not realizing what you want is a problem of knowledge. Not realizing what you want is a problem of knowledge. Not pursuing what you want is a problem with motivation. Not achieving what you want is a problem of persistence. So let's use college as an example. At the beginning, we don't always know what we want to do, right? That's a problem with knowledge. And then getting up the nerve to apply and apply for scholarship and SAT, right? That's a problem with motivation. And then when you're in the mess, when you've made it, and you're in college, getting through is a problem of persistence. Let me do that again.
No, that was excellent. You expounded. I love it.
And we've been here, 23 years?
Still going.
Still going. Get over yourself. Everyone else has. Isn't that funny? We're so hard on ourselves. We just can't believe that we stumble when everyone else knows we're an idiot, right? Get over yourself. Get over myself. People who desire to fail forward must turn their attention away from themselves and towards helping others. Many people who struggle with chronic failure do so because they think of no one but themselves. Isn't this interesting, the third bullet point? Studies show that generous people are rarely mentally ill people. Isn't that interesting?
Some of you need to get a little more generous.
Put others first in your thinking. Find out what others need and meet the needs with excellence and generosity. So when in doubt, be generous, right? Be focused on other folks. Grasp the positive benefits of negative experiences. Adversity, here's the great things. Here's why we love these trials, which we really do. It creates resilience. Do you think Edison had some resilience? Do you think Abraham Lincoln, and if you ever study Abraham Lincoln, how brutal it was during the war. Everyone was against him. They were losing. And he had generals that wouldn't act. And the Podunk South, and when I say Podunk, I don't mean that despairingly. They didn't have the resources of the North.